resiliency requires adaptation. It's learning to adapt to whatever is around you. And so, like, if you really talk about resilience, it is this idea that something hits you, you're down, and you pop back up. But like that popping back up, maybe when you went down, you lost a limb or something. Like, you have to learn to adapt to be able to stand back up. And not everybody, we were talking about why people don't do this. Some people don't know how to adapt, or they don't want to adapt. It's like, no, too hard. This is how I've always lived my life. This is how everybody around me lived their life. No, I'm not adapting to anything. But I think, yes, resiliency, 100% a choice to choose to stand your ass back up and keep going.
So I wrote a post about this on Instagram, and one of the commenters, I tagged you in my comment back to them, said, oh, it's impossible if you have gratitude in your heart, which you and I talked about, having gratitude, showing gratitude. If you have gratitude in your heart, you can't have resentment, and you can't be in a bad place mentally, and da-da-da-da. And all I heard was Brittany's voice going, you can have opposite views at the same time, which is why I tagged you, because I'm like, get him, Brittany. But I didn't trying to harm my my follower, and she came back very sheepishly. Never mind. After I responded and you responded, she's like, oh, never mind. No. It's a good thing, because there are a lot of people that think, oh, just be gratitude, be positive. We're going to talk about toxic positivity very, very soon on an episode. And everything will be fine, and you don't have to be resilient because you just stay above it, go above the fray. It's like, you're not understanding. You want to go through fire, so you build up the resistance, so you build up the resiliency we're talking about.
The problem with the attempt that she meant well, but the problem with this idea is that here's the shit. Here's what you're feeling. And all you're doing with gratitude is putting it on top.
Yeah.
But you can put a blanket over shit and it's still going to smell like shit, okay? I'm sorry, but like, that's just the way it is. So you have to go through. You have to feel. You have to feel the feels. Clean the shit out. I love this analogy. So bold here. But you have to clean it. You have to go through and process that. You can't just cover it up with gratitude. I am all about gratitude. I think gratitude is such a grounding thing, but it doesn't undo the pain, the hurt, the sorrow, the loss, the grief, all the shit that you were feeling. It doesn't undo that. All it does is ground you to, this is who I am. I am thankful for this part about me. I'm thankful for the earth. I'm thankful for the ground. I put my feet in the earth. I am grateful right here. And that all that does is just sink an anchor into the ground while you deal with this. That's all it does. It coexists. It's not a covering up of. No, I don't agree.
All right, now you've got my brain going in a very weird direction. Stick with me. This is going to be good. So imagine there's like a turd on this plate, the big pile of shit like you were talking about. Then you get some of that Ready Whip, and then you serve it to somebody and you go, here's some chocolate pudding. Now on the outside, it looks like it could be chocolate pudding with a whole lot of whipped cream. But then you take a bite and you go, literally,
Yes. Yes. That's literally it. And sometimes what happens, like, we're just going to keep going with this analogy. I'm loving it. So when you walk through life and you're carrying around your gratitude covered plate of shit that you're going through, and somebody walks through and a teeny little bit of life happens and that gratitude goes away, now you got this big heaping pile of shit and it's just oozing out and going everywhere, all over everybody. But instead, if you would have cleaned that up, if you would have dealt with this thing, now you're not hurting other people while you're trying to deal with your stuff. And honestly, you're not even dealing with it, because at this point it's exposed and you just kind of toss it over to somebody else. Here, not my problem anymore. You deal with it. You get some resiliency. I don't have time for that shit.
Literally that shit.
Oh my God, this analogy has gone too far.
This is going to be officially now the shittiest episode we've ever had. So.
Oh my goodness. Oh yes, but people just, it's sad. I look around. Hold on. I like to observe things. I was trying to say I am an observer, but that wasn't coming out very well. I like to observe people and see where they are and what they're going through and just try to understand. And I think sometimes that gets me in trouble because I just want to pick them upside the head and go, why? Why are you doing this? And I know sometimes that's Jimmy talking to me going, Brittany, why?
You did it to me yesterday when I was struggling, because you were the very first person I talked to, because we were texting back and forth, and we sometimes get into long text things, but usually we call. What did I say?
Brianka came out a little
Yeah,
bit. Okay.
Brianka
Yeah.
in the nuts yesterday, so.
Yes, if you guys don't know by now, Brianka is like my alter ego of my I don't give a shit, I'm gonna tell you how it is. I pull out Brianka sometimes when I'm upset and something needs to be said, and sometimes I pull her out when Brittany's not quite getting the point across through calm, loving, collective words. And sometimes I just have to bring her out to be a little tough love. Brianka's my tough love. So yes.
Yeah, you didn't sugarcoat that one. You just like, what's your problem, dude? No, sir.
Yes, like I had gone through like the steps. I have some steps, of how to build this unshakable resiliency and how you keep this going. And I was like, okay, all these steps, and you were still kind of swirling, and that's okay because I get there too. And sometimes after we go through the calm steps, and sometimes just like, all right, I need the slap, and I just was feeling this need like Jimmy needed the slap. So yeah.
I did, because I really wasn't as bad off as it seemed in the text. So anyway, so why do we feel, and I know we're going to do a whole episode on this, but I feel like it's relevant to this resiliency thing. Why do we feel the need to be so overtly positive, and that when you're not positive, that somehow that makes you less than, and like, to me, if you, and we're gonna do a whole episode on this, so I don't want to go too deep on positivity and how toxic it is, but to me, putting positivity out there is kind of like the grateful thing. You're just covering up the shit. You're not really doing much with it. Why do people avoid, I guess, feeling the feels, being in the midst of, and again, I'm currently still going through that myself. Why do they want to avoid that? Is it pain? They're just trying to avoid pain?
Oh, yeah, that's human nature. Like humans are designed, like we are designed as animals to avoid pain. Like that's,
Right.
I mean, that's just an animal instinct there to avoid pain. But like when we're talking about resiliency and we're talking about this toxic positivity, I preach about toxic positivity so much. I like to be positive. I like to remain positive. But the people that are just like, it's all gonna be okay, as an answer to when I'm like sobbing and crying, nothing makes me feel worse. Like when I went through a miscarriage and they're like, well, at least it happened early. No, fuck you, it happened. It sucked. Okay? No, it sucked.
Wow.
Don't try to positive this spin. Like, I don't need you to make it positive. I don't need you to make this an experience. So I think a lot of the toxic positivity that has shown up in my life, maybe this isn't true for everyone, it's all like religious based. And there's this idea of positive good, negative bad. If you're not positive, you're not loving God, or you're not following God, or you're not trusting God if you're not positive. And I think that's such crap, because like that's a whole nother episode in itself when we start talking about religion and how that plays a role in this. But it's not just religious, it's just societal, that positive good person, negative bad person. And there's just such a stigma around it that if you have, like, if someone asks you how your day is, you automatically say, I'm good, how are you? Like, that's just the response. Instead of saying, hey, how are you? And you going, well, damn, I'm having a rough day. Because nobody wants to hear that. They just want to put on the face.
Yeah, I wrote a whole post about that very thing just this week on the One Step Deeper social media pages. By the way, I didn't know you had a miscarriage. You're my best friend, and I've never heard that. I didn't know you had miscarriages. Talk about resilience from those events too. Were a teenager when that happened?
No, Cammie, I had just turned 20 when she was born. And so I had one when I was 20 or 21. It was right after Cammie, in between Cammie and Darcy. And then Darcy was actually a twin, and I miscarried Darcy's twin. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did I know that? Wow. I guess you don't. I mean, there's little things you don't know about me still, even though we talk a lot. Wow. Just more appreciation for who you are, because losing a baby is traumatic and needs resilience. You lost 2 of them. And knowing when you look at Darcy, she had a twin sister that probably looked just like her. It's like, yeah, I know. And the fact that you remain so resolute about your life and all the things that you are, that's a sign of great bouncing back ability and resilience. Like, mad respect for you. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's just part of that life list. And I actually have a list. And, I think this is something that everybody can do. Especially, combating toxic positivity and coming at this a whole different way. I literally have a list. I wish I had it on me or would have thought to grab it. It's got like some 100 things. I don't write down like vague. I write down small things that I have conquered. I've conquered sexual abuse. I've conquered emotional abuse. I have conquered, and like within those, I write like details. I'm a details person. I need to know the details of all the things I conquered. And you know what? Surviving one and then another miscarriage and walking through that. And again, you're right. Darcy is so sweet to me, but I do look at her and there's that bittersweet thing. And, like just that baby was physical, like that. I saw that, like I saw that physical baby, that physical child, and that was so hard to go through. But I have written all these things down. So, I mean, for you, write this shit down. I survived my dad beating the shit out of me. I survived things I can't talk about. I survived over and over and over again, all of the things. And every time you write these things down, you realize, shit, I have some resiliency. Would you look at this? And it just breeds more of this. I have walked through this, and I can walk through what is right here, right now.
And you survived Jimmy being your friend.
Yo, it's been a crazy 2 years. April 1st was like official 2 years of Jimmy and I meeting each other and like starting all of where we are right now. It's kind of crazy.
So it started on the National Day of Foolery. So, but this friendship ain't no joke, I promise you. So.
Yes. Like, you know me, I like to give instructions. Like, okay, let's not just talk about this. Let's like, how do we deal with this? So I think the first thing that we can do when we're aiming to be more resilient and we want to have that resiliency is find a why. Find something to anchor yourself to. And I think we've talked about this a lot. I know there was like a bonus episode where me putting my makeup on. It's on YouTube somewhere. I was just putting on my makeup and I was making a story. And Jimmy's like, oh, that's good. Let's make a video out of that. Oh, goodness. It's just anchor to a why. And how you get to your why is that very question of, this is the thing I'm going, like, why am I here? Why am I do this? Why you keep going deeper? And so my why for many, many years was to rise. And through the years, that began to morph and change. So, I would always anchor back to when something hard happens. All right, my why in life is I'm going to rise above this. I'm going to rise above it. I'm going to rise above it. And somewhere along the way, I felt a change and I needed to change that. And so now my why that I anchor to in tough times is I want to become a better Brittany. And so when I go through something tough, I always, not right in the beginning, because that's hard. Like, it's impossible. I'll just say that. It's impossible to find the good in something when it first smacks you in the face. Like, don't try. It's not worth it. Jimmy was not going to be in a positive mood yesterday. Like, he just wasn't going to find it. I told him, don't even bother. Don't even bother trying to be grateful right now. And be angry, be upset, be sad, be all the things.
And I wasn't. And even... Yeah. Day, but I'm a little better for the podcast, but I'm still more melancholy than I normally would be.
Yeah.
But I'm getting better because I've had a lot of good. I'm becoming more resilient.
Yes, absolutely.